afternoon, my friends. It's your boy Banner, and tackling our forest today. I'm going to do a bit of cleaning up to this candle tree forest that I have. This is one of two candle tree forests that I have, and to be honest, my friends, I am contemplating merging the two forests together to make much bigger forest, but I will see what's happening. That's something to think about. But today, what we're going to do, I'm going to do some cleaning up to this forest. I've allowed it to grow. And what I did off camera some time ago was prune back the growth because it was pretty tall and I did not want it that tall. So I did some pruning off camera, and there are new leaders and new growth and new things to be taken out. As you can see, there are some ferns all over the place, so that needs to clean up. So let me give you a 360 look at this forest. Yeah. So as I bring the camera in, you can see there are a lot of ferns growing to the bottom of it. I allowed them to grow. Now it's a matter of pruning them back, and some of them may have to be removed because they are not in proportion with the size of the forest. One thing to note, I used these and I put a bit of fertilizer in here so that every time I wet, it would fertilize. But this fertilizer has burnt the moss around it, so I need to remove these. Anyways, giving you a 360 look at the forest, and you're primarily seeing the base of it. You know, I have a lot of good, nice ferns coming up. A pretty nice forest. A pretty good forest, if I may say so. So let me raise the camera a bit so you can see the top. And this is the back of the forest. And I'm going around, coming around to the side and back to the front. So I have my tools, and what I'm going to do, my friends, first things first, I'm going to tackle the trees, and then I'm going to come down into the landscape and do a bit of work on the landscape. Now, I don't want to work too late like yesterday, as it got pretty dark. So if I can't finish this today, I will finish the rest of it tomorrow. But for now, what I'm going to do is tackle the landscape. So there are a bit of dead bits that need to be removed, and some of the trees that the branches need to be brought back into some kind of proportion. So that's what I'm going to do. So on that, let me just go. Looking at this first tree here, primary tree, it comes up nicely, and I want to firstly remove some dead stuff, right, and have a look at, there's a major cut point to the back here, and let me see if I could adjust the camera for you to see. So I've changed the camera angle, and as I pull out the tool, you could see that here is where I cut the lead, and it gave me a new lead. So what I wanted to try to get behind here to smoothen this lead, but that is proving to be a little bit of a challenge because I have a branch coming up here, a nice strong branch coming up to the back here. I'm wondering if I need to keep it. So I'm going to remove some leaves that are coming up on the trunk, kind of neatening up the trunk a bit. And this fern that is in my way, I'm going to move this, taking off these big leaves. And coming up the tree, I'm going to take it back a portion, hoping for more dense growth in the top. Well, actually on the tree, but trying to create that a typical kind of shape. Although candle trees don't necessarily grow like that, they kind of give you a lot of top heavy growth to create canopies. They do that better. But for the purposes of this forest, I want to try to rein that growth back in and compact the growth a bit. So I have two branches here competing. So we're going to remove this one, opening up a bit of space here. And this side branch that is coming up that wants to compete with the apex, I'm going to reduce this. Not taking it off completely, but reducing it. And coming further down on the tree, there is a branch to the back here that I'm going to reduce, kind of giving this belongs to this tree, kind of clearing up this a bit. Let me see. Does that look good? This is what I would have done. I think that is okay for now. I could probably go back a little bit further with this. And there is a branch developing to the back here that is going to compete. And like the water jasmine, these tend to shoot branches on either side. That leads to inverse taper. So again, another thing, another species to manage where that is concerned. Right. And I was able, because I removed all of those things, I am now able to clean up the cut point where I removed the lead, making this transition a little bit smoother to the back here. So this, my friends, I have to reduce this branch a bit because it's going to compete with the apex for dominance. And that is what I don't want. So with that, I think I'm finished with this tree. And that is one. I'm going to go around and do the rest. And in between, we're going to come back and probably have a little discussion on it. But because of the time, we're going to be moving with a bit of haste. So I'm glad I was able to show you what I'm going to do with one and talk it through with you. You know, let's move on to the rest. Now, my friends, I've finished pruning up the forest. And there is a tree, one of the trees in the forest, that I wish all of my trees could look like. And this is what I believe I want the rest of the trees to aspire to. The foliage, the branching, on this particular tree is very nice. So I'm going to keep working at this forest to get it to look a bit more on the natural side and not necessarily what I deem it should look like. Let me draw back just a bit. So I was basically trying to impose an atypical shape on the forest. And really and truly, this particular species of tree doesn't necessarily grow like that. What I have to manage though is, as I mentioned, the reverse taper. So now that I've pruned up the forest, what I'm going to do now is look at the landscape and prune back some of those ferns because they're out of proportion with the rest of the forest. So I'm going to get to that now. No. Changing your view again so that I could work on these ferns. And they've been growing quite vigorously. I didn't plant them, they just grew up. And as you can see, this patch of moss here is dead. I'm hoping it'll come back because this was one of the spots that I had this little fertilizer kit in. And everywhere I had one of these, the moss died. So sad. This was taking off all of the long, overly long growth to try to make this look more in proportion with the forest. So I don't want anything growing too out of the way there. So I prune that back. And I'm going to go around and do the same with all the rest. All right, so as I started talking the pump. Anyways, now that I've had a look at the ferns, what I'm going to do now is take my tweezers and go through and remove all the little dead bits. And let's see what this looks like after. Wole City. So I have my little tweezers, and as I would have mentioned that before. I may not have said it on, or I'm not sure if I said it on video, but a lot of my inspiration and a lot of my work, the inspiration behind my work, has come from Nigel Saunders and how he does things. I am a serious fan of his, a very, very serious fan of his, and I just like how he operates, how he does what he does, how his thought process. I like it. He has a lot of patience, a lot more patience than me, a lot. And it's something that I aspire to. So, whilst I'm trying to clean up this landscape here, I'm going to come back when I finish cleaning up this landscape as best as I can and give you a more comprehensive view on this forest, on this candle tree forest. So, my friends, what was supposed to be something of a kind of a quick thing end up turning into something else. So as you can see, I created something of a pathway type thing, adding a bit of sand on the path, still to be refined, still a lot of work to go into this, but I like how it is turning out, and I believe that in the future it will be something really very nice. So let me just give you a 360 view on it, going around, coming around to the back of the planting. Backing looks so bad, no boy. Well, the back of the planting look good, you know. Oh my. Coming around to the side. And what started off as a weight to hold down a tree turned into a permanent fixture. I'm wondering if this makes sense here. No, it doesn't. Taking this out. Oh, wow. I pulled a little bit much. I could probably put a bit of sand around here, continuing this path through and coming around to the back here. So, I don't know. I will see. But, my friends, this is it so far. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, like, click that like button, click that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, comment. I love the comments. Send the comments. Let me know what you think and share. And as I usually say, my friends, be good to yourself, be good to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. And remember that our climate is our responsibility. We have an opportunity to change it for the better. If not for ourselves, let's do it for the future generations. Yeah? On that note, I will see all you soon. Now, there is something that I need to contemplate here. This root, can I remove this root? It's not adding any value. I'm going to remove this. I hope it ain't killing the tree. Yeah, that looks better. That looks better. This as well, this airborne root. Better. All right, I'll go on. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye.